join us every Monday at 12 noon for the book, The 7 Deadly Friendships, How to Heal When Painful Relationships Eat Away at Your Joy by Mary DeMute. We want you all to join us on Mondays at 12 noon for the lessons and Monday evenings at 8 p.m. for our discussions. Have you ever had a deadly friendship? Do you wonder about your friendships? Have you experienced painful friendships? If so, you need to be with us 12 noon on Mondays and 8 p.m. Monday evenings so we can talk about it. I'm telling you, we all have to heal from time to time from different relationships that we deem as friendships. Join us as we go into this book, as we go into these lessons, and we all begin to heal. All right. God bless you. God bless you on today. I pray that you all are gathering your meal, your lunch, and you all are joining me today for 7 Deadly Friendships. Now, we're in chapter 2, UnReliable Uma. Chapter 2, this is part 1. How to heal when painful relationships eat away at your joy. We all have been in friendships, relationships that have really kind of tore us apart, that really, pulled on our heart, pulled on us, made us where we were, we were wondering, well, what's going on with me? And we don't get closer to people. We kind of have our distances. We do what we do. And so it changes you when you're in a friendship that you felt you deemed was a friendship, and it turns out not to be what you expected. And so the first chapter, we talked about the narcissistic friendship, the person that makes everything about them. How many of us got friends that make everything about them? Got people in our lives that make everything about them, family members that make everything about them. And then really when they hurt you, they make you feel bad for feeling bad because they hurt you or because that's the narcissistic. So we went through that. Y'all go back and listen to part 1 through 3 of chapter 1. That was the first out of the 7 deadly friendships. Now, chapter 2 talks about unreliable Uma. And I was telling somebody, I thought about myself, and they were saying, no, mother, you're not like that. You're not. And, because I'm checking myself as I go through these 7 deadly friendships. I'm checking my spirit. I'm checking my character. And I hope as you go through these with me that you do the same. Okay, check your character, check your friendship, check how are you? How are you doing? What are you doing to cause someone to say, oh my God, I thought they were my friend, oh my God, and you check yourself. And so we're at unreliable Uma, a lying tongue. I got you, I'm gonna be there, I got you, and then you're not there. Woo, help us, Lord. It's making me check myself. I don't know about you, but I'm checking myself when it comes to how I am a friend. I cried on the phone with my new friend. Something she had always faced had come to bite me. So I felt safe sharing my heartache. She would understand since she had walked my path before. Besides, she'd been trashed with leading us as we face a new ministry experience. She was tasked with leading us as we face a new ministry experience. She had the task. Well, I don't really know what to say, she said. I restated the difficult situation, this time emphasizing my own heartache and how it intersects hers. She backpedaled, seemingly shocked at my sadness, repulsed by it. Actually, she mumbled something about choosing to be strong and then hung up. I should have known then not to entrust my heart to her, but I gave it the old college try and continued, unwisely, to pursue her. Eventually, my neediness in a very difficult situation turned her against me, and she met my sadness with slurriness, and then she mocked me, which was when I stopped pursuing her. Our friendship only worked if I had no needs. You ever got them people, long as you don't need nothing, they your friend. And in the aftermath of it all, I realized too that my own authentic sharing rocked her. They all right, long as you strong. But the minute you show a little weakness, then they wait a minute now, and they don't know how to help you, but you help them. She spent a lifetime play acting the perfect Christian wife and life, never minding what she really felt. So when crazy me with all my communication and realness met her, our tender friendship and dated failed. We were unequally yoked, but not in the way you might think. She wanted only friends who would hang out with her, praise her, and have few needs. As long as I can meet your needs, I'm your friend. Oh my gosh. I've been there. I felt that. As long as that dynamic persists, she engaged in the friendship. But the moment a real need arose, she bailed. Unreliable. Have you experienced this kind of unreliable friendship? This friend loves you when you're fine, when you have no needs or flaws. But throw in a messy situation like death or a loved one or divorce or a spouse, and this friend suddenly becomes busy with another, easier friend. When she leaves, she blames you for your problem making. You feel small and only needy. Living day in and day out with friends like this can be exhausting. They drain your soul because you realize you cannot truly be yourself, and you are only loved for your happy but put together self. They want you to be strong all the time. You're strong. You got it. You always got the words. You got the solution. But as soon as you need the solution from them, they get missing because they don't want you relying on them. They don't want you. As a novelist, I'm well aware of what calls the unreliable narrator. That's the person who tells the story. And if the storyteller is unreliable, the reader cannot trust what they say. This makes for great mysteries, but it is entirely unhelpful in life. Unreliable narrators normally hold important details back. They tell only their side of the story, truing truth to suit their own me-centered narrative. This is a perfect picture of a friend who's unreliable. How many of you got that? How many of you been through that? They typically process their explanation and excuses to benefit themselves. And they don't seem to hold a moral compass to tell the truth, particularly when it makes them look bad. Oh, they're going to tell a story. But the story they're going to tell will make you look bad, not them. Yeah. Traits. Unreliable Uma behavior this way. Behaves this way. Unreliable Uma behaves this way. When you express a clear need, your friend does not respond or create excuses to not engage. He or she changes the subject when you begin to emote about a current painful situation. They don't want to hear it. They try to change the subject. He or she throws Christian clinches your way, peppered with ripped out of context Bible verses, and hope that placing that spiritual band-aid on you will quit your pain. You won't talk about it. Your gut tells you something wrong, or you have a vague feeling of being used after each interaction. Conversely, other friends have told you that you're in a one-sided, fair weather friendship. Sometimes we can't see clearly, and we need the discernment of other good friends to perceive what's really going on. I've been there. Oh my God, my spiritual mother used to tell me about some people in my life. And I used to say, no, it ain't like, no. She said, okay, now. All right, now. He or she's sacrifice is minimal, while yours is relationship and feel exhausting. You hear from mutual friends that he or she is tired of your complaining. They tired of you talking about it. He or she makes fun of you for having pain in the first place, telling you to buck up and get over it. Oh my God. Come on. How many? Come on, think about this. Unreliable Uma. Part 1. She blames you for your pain. She does not celebrate your accomplishments, he or she, and you get the impression that they jealous and angry when you succeed. Huh? He or she tells you to get over your pain, to move on. He or she doesn't seem to want you to grow in your relationship with Christ. Oh my God. Be your best self or improve your habits. He or she seems gleeful when you fail. He or she never apologizes for obvious violations in the relationship, but they demand that you constantly say you're sorry. Come on. The friendship isn't reciprocal. What you give, you don't get back. He or she breaks engagements constantly and consistently. He or she, you can't be yourself around them because they don't really accept who you really are. They keep you in their back pocket, but constantly pursue other exciting relationships. But you just, when they can't get nobody else. Similarities. They easily point out your flaws while changing the subject if you return the favor. The friendship feels more complicated and easy and joyful. He or she loves when she doesn't get her way. The friendship feels more like an obligation transaction rather than a casual exchange. You're always aware when you owe them something. They keep track of everything they've done. Sometimes they use language like, you owe me. He or she is a poor listener, but demands that you be a great one. They want you to listen, but they don't want to listen. Woo! Unreliable. You can't talk to them. You got to listen to them all the time, though. He or she shares your intimate details as gossip with others. Woo! Mangling your neediness. Instead of emphasizing with your plight, they share that their pain is worse and you should be grateful you're not experiencing what they are experiencing. He or she has mastered the put down of you, but expects you to elevate her or them when they're sad. He or she berates you for sharing your needs, interfering you ungrateful or ungodly. Who unreliable? Uma, how many of you have dealt with friendships like this? Just listen to these traits now, because you're going to go back and check yourself as well as the people around you. You perceive or notice that they don't have your back. They don't have your back. They don't pursue you or ask of you or seem interest in your current plight. You're never entirely sure if they are telling you the truth. You feel used after you connect with them. They ghost when you are in need. They get ghosts. Won't take calls, stop following you on social media with no explanation. What is the unreliable Uma? Oh my God. He agreed to meet, but then doesn't show up, or at the last minute sends you a text full of excuses. They look vividly drained when you ask for a small favor. There is very there for you if it suits their needs or their wants. If they're wanting something from you, that's the only way. They offer general advice about their situation, preferring to plague you with vague gratitude. They never ask you about yourself. You always have to volunteer information about your life. However, they often goes on long solitary lives about their issues. They call you only when no one else is available. You're their last call. Unreliable Uma. Now, these are the traits of unreliable Uma. She praised herself, and the way she does things includes having processed pain and put you down for the way you navigate a difficult time. Those are the traits of unreliable Uma. Think about those traits. Think about your friendships. Think about the people in your life, whether it be family members or whether it just be people that you associate with, people that you call your friend. Think about it. The 7 deadly friendships. We're talking about unreliable Uma. Interacting with unreliable Uma. Selma Elementary School friend became an unreliable Uma. My dad took his life 3 years ago, and like the suicide of my last spouse, it again rocked my being. My friend from elementary school, someone I thought I could be open to and free to grieve openly with, ran as fast as she could when I no longer smiled for a while or could muster joy. All the friendship space we have had for so many years will not face the darkness of suicide loss. I did not choose this. She did. It breaks my heart. Note how long Salem and her friend had cultivated a friendship years, and in one painful instance, everything failed. Jared shared about several unreliable Umas from his own church. In college, I went to a church that preached a lot about loving your neighbor and community. Small groups were supposed to solve any of your problems. One night, due to some complicated college students' shenanigans, I was locked out of my apartment and had to wait until the next morning to get in. I figured this wouldn't be a big problem. I just had to call up one of my many so called friends to crash on their couch. It was 8 p.m., which was basically noon in college time. But every friend I called either didn't answer or couldn't help or didn't know of any way to help. After a half dozen calls or so, I ended up walking to a hotel paying $50 for a night. But in my college days, I had let people crash at my place several times, and it was no problem or inconvenience. Jared writes. This became the first straw as he realized how unchristian his group of friends from church was. This was incredible because the number of one stereotype of folks from this church was that they were only overly nice. I am not exactly a needy person. I once walked to church when my car was broken because I just didn't think to ask someone for a ride. What I mean is, I don't often ask for help for things, but the one time I actually needed help, all of my friends wasn't there. Afterwards, I was able to get a ride to get my key back, but I asked one of my school friends, not my church friends, first person I called, help me out. It wasn't a church friend, it was the school friend. Jane dealt with an unreliable and unheaded co-worker. Ellie and I worked together for several years in ministry. She said she was one of my closest confidants when I was going through a difficult time. I really treasured her as a friend. One day I thought about looking for another job. I had previously used the professional service of her best friend, Rebecca. Rebecca remarked that I was really good about navigating and complicating process involved in her company and would love to hire me one day if I ever thought about leaving my current job. I decided to reach out to Rebecca privately. I explained to her that I was interested in a position at her agency, if one was available, and asked that she please keep my desire confidential. Rebecca responded almost immediately and said that there weren't any current openings, but if one became available, that I would be the first person she would call. Jane continued. A few days later, Ellie asked me to go to lunch with her. In that conversation, Ellie told me that Rebecca had disclosed Jane's desire to leave her current position. So Ellie asked Jane if she instead wanted a different position within the ministry to keep her there so she wouldn't pursue outside employment with Rebecca. Jane said yes, then continued. For about a month or so, she would check in with me periodically to see if I was still interested in different ministry positions. But nothing was really memorizing in the form of a new position in her department. One day, Ellie told Jane that she decided to leave her current ministry position and took the position with Rebecca instead. Jane said, I went home that evening and I got mad. Wow. It took me a few hours, but I realized that Ellie did what Ellie did. She received confidential information from Rebecca, from her friend Rebecca, to seize the opportunity to get a job at the agency, the job I wanted. And she strung me along for a month by telling me that she would work on finding me a new position in her department. Woo! And I felt the sting of indifference in her role as a pastor's wife. I feel this needly as a pastor's wife, and I know I'm not alone. We spend our lives being there for people in all of their ups and downs. Quite a roller coaster for the pastor's family, considering how many people are often under our care. While we deeply love caring for people, it's true that many friends are nowhere to be found when we ourselves suffer. Being a pastor's wife, being an overseer, being a leader, I do understand. While we deeply love caring for people, it's true that many friends are nowhere to be found when we ourselves suffer. I think this is pretty common in ministry, especially in places where people are so caught up in the rat race that they have little time for genuine, deep relationship. Grab and go is how this feels when it happens in friendship. It's a fast food relationship with no time or desire to linger at the table and savor. Mm. Grace walked through a dark time when her ministry leaders and boss suddenly died. She writes, I have a group of 5 friends that group texts daily. We talk about everything from the new Starbucks ladder flavor to prayer for our kids and marriage to confessions of sins, everything talked about. We have been friends for 10 years. We have traveled together for weddings and new babies. But in this season of grief and leading while grieving, where I'm fully spent daily, my friends haven't been there. Sure, I can text a prayer request, but they simply aren't showing up. I don't think they understand what it feels like to experience significant grief, the kind that doesn't go away and hurt deeply. Grace has had trouble sharing her need for them to be present and spend time with her. She writes, it's all kind of climax the other day because one of the 5 had a stomach bug and another friend went over to clean her house and watched her kids. I've been sick 5 times since the pastor died, and they haven't visited once. They don't even ask me about it. Again, I don't think they understand, but it has left me feeling very insecure in a season of depletion. God has been good as he has always is. So as they unreliable, so they are unreliable. My husband thinks so. Hmm. My husband thinks so. I hope that they just don't understand. Mom was experiencing a similar loss. I had friends who were friends when they needed something from me or I didn't have any needs. If I could serve them, be there for them at any time, do exactly what they wanted, they were happy to be my friends. Now I'm walking through a very deep valley with my husband's health and caring for my aging in-laws, and they're gone like the wind. Been there, went through that. Even so, Mara has found hope. The wondering thing is this: God has provided true friends and families who are walking our journey with us in the trenches, in the tears, in the turmoil. They continuously offer particular practical help, encouraging words, scripture to remind us of our hope and more. Sometimes it takes the valleys to see who are the friends who stick closer than a brother. And in the long run, those are the friends I want in my life. Part two, we'll be talking about what the Bible says. But we talked about the characteristics of unreliable Uma. We talked about several experiences in this book of people dealing with people who you're there for them, but they're not there for you. My prayer is that we check ourselves and make sure we're not an unreliable Uma, and that we realize who are unreliable Umas in our relationships with people. I thank God for you being with me on today. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, Unreliable Uma, Chapter 2. I know we have not did the live question and answers for the narcissistic for Chapter 1, and we just started into Chapter 2. I'm going to get with Overseer Morgan. He has been such a great inspiration for me. And we're going to get together and do Chapter 1. I can't tell you when, but I know we are, and I'll let you know then again. Part 1 of Unreliable Uma. All right, join me next Monday at 12 noon for Part 2, and we're going to talk about what the Bible says. All right? So my prayer is that you are a friend that will stick closer than a brother. Join me next Monday.